Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It's Thursday. We are getting closer to the weekend, closer to Sunday. Potentially, well, not potentially, just a huge, huge day for Arsenal, for the Premier League, for Manchester City. It is not far away now. Mikel Arteta speaking tomorrow at his press conference at London Colney ahead of that huge game against Everton. Can Arsenal get the job done? Can West Ham do them a favour at Manchester City? We are not going to have to wait too much longer to find out. We'll speak about that a lot in Inside Arsenal Extra Time, which myself and James are sitting down to record very, very soon after me recording this video. So if you want to get a question in or a comment in, you want something for me and James to discuss in Inside Arsenal Extra Time this week, then you've probably got about an hour max from when this was posted. So you're going to have to be one of the first people to see this video. Apologies. Normally we try and leave a bit more time so you can get your questions in, but because of scheduling today, we've got to record it pretty early, even though it will go out a little bit later on today. So if you want to get involved in that show, you're going to have to get a question in very, very quickly. Do the usual stuff, extra time at the top, then your question. And if you manage to get it in time, then I will pull some of them together and get them included in today's show. But plenty to talk about today. Before that, we're going to talk about Joao Neves being heavily linked with a move to Arsenal. Benjamin Sesko continues to be linked with a move to Arsenal. I'll give my thoughts on the new kit, which is now officially launched. Got plenty of questions and comments from you guys as well. So let's get started. Let's start with Joao Neves, shall we? Who is a name who from time to time is being mentioned as a possible Arsenal target, and that interest, the links are beginning to strengthen. We've seen it last couple of days being reported from elsewhere. But Team News and Ticks. Now, I've mentioned Team News and Ticks before. If you don't follow Team News and Ticks, then you should, because he's a really great account who knows his stuff, has got lots of ins when it comes to football, and delivers some really great breaking news and transfer stories and things like that. And so you should absolutely follow him. Little bit of a heads up. There could be something a little bit exciting coming between myself and Team News and Ticks at some point in the very near future. So keep your eyes peeled. Hopefully that does come to fruition. But he's reported on his Patreon, actually, again, which is, look, I know not everyone likes to pay for content and stuff like that, but he does have a Patreon that is well worth £5 a month. And I'll put the link to it down below in the description if you want to go over and sign up for it. It'd be well worth your while ahead of the summer transfer window. He reported a fair while ago now about Arsenal's interest in Joao Neves, and others have followed him in the last couple of weeks as well. So my take on it, or my information that I have on Joao Neves, is that Benfica are very, very unwilling to do any sort of deal for Joao Neves this summer. There is the caveat to that, is that he does have a release clause, but I'm not sure the exact figure. I was speaking to someone who I trust implicitly, who I know who has very good information coming out of Benfica, and he was telling me that the club's stance is absolutely, look, it's release clause or nothing. I don't know the full figure of that release clause, unfortunately, but I've seen reported that it's up to like 120 million euros. Now that's over 100 million pounds for a 19-year-old midfielder who I think looks a hell of a talent. He's got lots and lots of good things about his game. The maturity he plays with for such a young player is remarkable. His quick feet is excellent. He gets up and down the pitch. He looks like a real proper midfield talent who could go on to become, a hell of a player. But to spend that sort of money on a 19-year-old, I just can't see. I'd be very, very surprised. And as far as I'm aware, like I said, the word from Benfica is if anyone is going to get him this summer, it is release clause or nothing, because they are not even interested in entering into negotiations for him yet. That will probably change maybe in a year's time, 2 years' time. It tends to when it comes to the big Portuguese clubs selling their best talent. But for now, he's only 19. They have no interest in selling him. So if anyone, Arsenal included in that, are going to get him out of Benfica this summer, then they're going to have to pay his release clause. I think, and this is just me, not on information I've got from Arsenal, but just to me, I just can't see Arsenal would do that. That's a huge amount of money for still a relatively young player. Well, is a very young player, and who I think if you're spending £100 million nowadays, you're spending it on a Declan Rice type signing who's going to come in and improve you like that and hit the ground running like that, rather than a sort of potential type player. But I do think he's really, really good. I think he's a really interesting player, Joao Neves. I haven't seen loads of him, but whenever I've watched him, he really does catch the eye. And I've watched a lot on YouTube of him as well, which I know is tough because you only see the best bits on those sort of compilations. But his quick feet, his ability to get out of tight situations, really, really impressive. His athleticism is really, really good. He can shoot from distance, score from distance, really looks strong in the tackle as well. He's got all the attributes to a hell of a midfielder, but yeah, I'm not sure anyone's going to go near that release clause just yet. Moving on to another big transfer link, Sam Dean, a really good friend of mine, good friend to this channel, has been on a few times, and hopefully is going to be on the channel tomorrow to talk about this more. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And if you've got any questions for Sam on this link to Sesko or anything else ahead of the summer transfer window, please do get them in to me, and I will get them to him in tomorrow's show. He reported yesterday a little bit more on Arsenal and Benjamin Sesko. He's obviously a player we know is on Arsenal's list of targets this summer as a potential new forward, alongside some of the other names that have been linked to your Isaks, your Xerxes. Sam reported in the Telegraph yesterday, and you can read the story down below in the description, that from his understanding, that rival clubs in the race for Sesko this summer now believe that Arsenal are in pole position to sign him if they pull the trigger and actually make a firm offer for him. Now, whether they do make a firm offer for him, we'll have to wait and see once the window open. But other clubs, and there are other clubs, plenty of them, looking at Sesko, and their agent's been doing the rounds. We've seen him at various grounds in recent weeks. He's been at Arsenal. He was at Arsenal's game at Manchester United. He was at Old Trafford for that game. He was at Arsenal versus Chelsea. So his agent's doing the round, which you would expect ahead of most people are expecting Sesko to move this summer. The agent's doing his job. He's going around. He's holding talks with all interested clubs like Arsenal, like Chelsea, other clubs like that. But yeah, interesting from Sam there that those rival clubs now believe that Arsenal are in pole position for Sesko. He's having a decent season over in Germany, still just 20. It would be a potential signing, no doubt about it. It's not your Alexander Isak type player, who, although still young, we know is proven in the Premier League and can do the business in the Premier League. With Sesko, you're signing a young player who maybe you'll be given time to bed in, probably behind Kai Havertz in that central striker's role from the start of next season. But he's a talent. He's in a good, rich sort of vein of scoring form towards the end of this season in the Bundesliga. He's got a decent record at international level as well. Big, strong, powerful. Is that sort of physical presence that we've seen that Mikel's liking with Kai Havertz up front at the moment. So he's an interesting one. I haven't seen loads of him. I'm sure some of you watch more of Bundesliga than I do. So give me your thoughts on Sesko down below in the comments. Be interesting to look at some of those when my conversation with Sam tomorrow about this story. But that's the latest. So quite a bit of transfer news doing the rounds at the moment. Transfer whispers doing the rounds. You can always tell we're getting closer to the summer when it happens. But yeah, that's the very latest on Benjamin Sesko. So here it is. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it in all its glory. I'm sure you've seen it already. There's Declan Rice in it, Kai Havertz, Bukayo Saka, David Raya, perhaps hiding in the background, which I'm not surprised given the state of that goalkeeper's kit. As you can tell, I'm not a fan. Got a few more pictures. Leah Williamson, obviously modelling it there. Leandro Trossard, Gab Martinelli, and there's Raya again in that goalkeeping kit, which I really, really, really don't like. But each to their own and all that. The home kit, I don't know. I mean, give me your thoughts on it. What do you think about it? I don't mind it. Kind of similar to what I thought about this season's kit. I didn't mind it. I didn't think it was a banger. Didn't particularly love it. I'm certainly not going to go down in my list of favourite Arsenal kits. And I think this is going to follow pretty much in the same sort of category for me on this one. It looks shot. It looks smart enough. I mean, it looks decent on the players. Don't think I'll be buying it. I'm not sure I'll be getting a kit this season. I imagine my son will probably be pushing me to spend whatever it is, 65 quid on his junior top to get it. But let me know your thoughts on that kit. I just don't like any of the kits really this season. I've seen the leaks of the second and the third kit and this kit, and none of them really do it for me, I don't think. And they didn't really do it for me this season either. So I think, for my opinion anyway, and it's just my opinion, of course, I think Adidas need to up their game for next season. But those are the new Arsenal kits, which are out now. You can it's been launched officially on Arsenal Direct, so you can get over to the website if you do want to place your order for the new Arsenal shirt. Now, this is an interesting one. David Ornstein at The Athletic breaking the story yesterday that Premier League clubs are to vote on the proposal to scrap VAR from next season. Now, this is a resolution that's been formally submitted by Wolves to abolish VAR, and it's going to be on the agenda at the AGM, which is held on June the 6th. The only way that this is going to go through is just a 2/3 majority vote to scrap VAR. So 14 of the 20 Premier League clubs need to vote to scrap VAR. Now, firstly, I don't think there's a chance in hell this is going to happen. I think as much as it frustrates clubs, I still think they will vote to keep it in. I will be very surprised. I'm not surprised that Wolves are the club that are leading this, given how much damage VAR has done to them and how VAR has gone against them in the last couple of seasons. So it's no surprise that they're pushing it. But my personal thoughts on it, and these are just my personal thoughts, I would get rid of it in an instant. If I could click my fingers and VAR would be gone, it would be gone. I can't stand it. I really, really can't stand it. I know it gets some decisions right that if it wasn't there, the on-field decision would be wrong and it would be really, really frustrating. I get that. But it still gets decisions wrong in our eyes. We still talk about it, debate about it. It's done nothing to lessen the debate, the anger that bad decisions cause. Nothing. In fact, it's made it worse, I think, because now we're poring over it on freeze frame by freeze frame. We're watching people in Stockley Park with about 20 screens still come to the wrong decision. And it just angers us even more. But the main thing for me is the in-stadium experience. It's just dreadful for people who are paying thousands of pounds a year to go and watch their football team. The experience of VAR brings in a stadium is just rotten to the core. It really is. You can't celebrate a goal, and this is maybe just me, but every single goal that goes in, the doubt in your mind is there. You can't lose yourself in that emotion. The most joyous thing about football, for me anyway, and no, not just for me, it is the most joyous thing about football is celebrating a goal. That sheer thrill of seeing the ball hit the net in huge moments. And yet now, and since the introduction of VAR, there is always that immediate doubt in your mind of, is this going to get ruled out? And I hate that about it so much. I really, really do. It takes away the most joyous thing in football, what football is all about. The fact that when you're in the ground and it does go to VAR and you're just standing around for 3-4 minutes without a clue what is going on. And I know the technology isn't really the problem. It's the people who are running it that are the problem. I get that 100%, but that is not going to change. You're always going to have humans running it, making the decisions. I'd keep goal line technology. Maybe I would go with the automated offside rule so it doesn't take so long. But even then, you've still got in the stadium that doubt in your mind if it's a goal's a goal. Whereas before, you just knew if the linesman didn't flag, it was a goal. Yes, you'd later see replays and think that was onside sometimes, and that would be annoying. But we still get that now. It's changed nothing in my mind. The real clangers, obviously, it saves you from real clangers, and people have been pointing out, because I spoke about this on Twitter yesterday, like the Aubameyang goal that was ruled out at Old Trafford a few years ago, when I think it was Saka that set him up for it. And that was originally ruled out for offside, and he was about 5 yards onside. It was an awful decision, absolutely awful. And VAR obviously overturned that, and that was great. Yes, sometimes you will get decisions like that would go against you if you scrapped it. I understand, but I would still get rid of it. But this is just my opinion. I know lots of people disagree. I've seen in the reaction to my tweet yesterday, and that lots of people disagree with it. But I just don't see it changing. I don't see the people running it getting any better. So I just think it's going to continue to cause these problems. And for the good that it has brought to the game, I think it's just brought an awful lot of rubbish to the game as well. And just especially for the match going fan, I just think it's a really horrible thing. So I'd scrap it, but I don't think it's going to happen. I'm utterly sure that the Premier League clubs will vote to keep VAR from next season. I'd be stunned if it doesn't. But let me know your views on it in the comments below. Right, some questions and comments now before we wrap this up. Jaswant here says, "Hey Charles, keep up your good work. If you had one choice between Bruno G, for 80 million and Gallagher for 50 million, who would you take? Or would you sign both and sacrifice some other position? No, I'd go for Bruno G all day long for 80 million. Cheaper than Gallagher, obviously. I like Gallagher. I do. I think he gets a lot of unfair criticism. I remember speaking about him on a video not too long ago and said, look, I wouldn't be overly against Arsenal going for Gallagher because I think he's a really good player. And I think he actually would fit Mikel Arteta team pretty well, or the squad pretty well anyway. But yeah, if you give me a choice between Bruno and Gallagher, then Bruno, because Gallagher I think would just come in as a squad player, and also we've got Emile Smith-Rowe, so I'd rather just keep Emile Smith-Rowe than sign Conor Gallagher. But Bruno, I think walks into the Arsenal team and probably improves it straight away. I think you can play him as a number 6. You can have Rice then as the 8 with Odegaard. I think that's a really, really strong midfield. It gives you hell of a platform, especially when you got Jorginho and Partey there as well, potentially to further strengthen depth. So yeah, Bruno G for me for 80 million. Here's one from Dotty Dot, who mentions Team News and Ticks, actually, who I spoke about earlier on. Says, Charles, do you have any thoughts on Team News and Ticks' latest tweet that VAR did not check De Bruyne's goal versus Spurs? If this is true, TMNT never misses with his leaks. At what point do we acknowledge that the league is absolutely zero integrity? It's really difficult to get excited and interested in Premier League these days when the club with 115 charges for cheating is winning its 6th title in 7 years. On top of them, seemingly benefit from basically every single refereeing decision possible. Love following your work all season. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Dotty. Yeah, this is interesting. Again, I talk about how good Team News and Ticks is and why he's worth a follow. He announced yesterday on his Patreon again that the VAR didn't check the goal at the time for Erling Haaland so it's checking the possible offside on Kevin De Bruyne in the build up to Haaland's goal, saying that the check wasn't done at the time, so the goal was immediately given, not checked, and it did look very, very close to being offside. So I'm staggered that wasn't checked. I just don't understand how that wasn't checked. I thought everything had to be checked before a goal is cleared, and you see some of the checks where a player is so far onside and you're like, why are you wasting a minute and a half drawing these lines when we can all see? So for something like that De Bruyne's one, which was so tight, I just can't get over the fact it wasn't checked. And I have no reason to doubt that Team News and Ticks is incorrect in this, because I know how good his sources are on it. He did reveal that the offside was checked after the game. great that is, and that it was actually onside. It was if it was checked at the time, it wouldn't have been ruled out, which makes me feel slightly better about it, because if that was found to be offside, then I'd been absolutely fuming. But I don't understand how it wasn't checked at the time, and I doubt that'll ever come out. I doubt anyone will actually talk about it, but yeah, I think and it's another thing when I'm talking about VAR and why I just don't think it's good. If you're not using VAR to check that, then what is the point in it? Why is it here? It's just a waste of time, absolute waste of time. And that's why I won't change my opinion on why it should be scrapped straight away. And now some of the reaction to what we spoke about yesterday with the Xavi Simons link. Some of you getting in touch talking about it. Hansu at the top there says Xavi Simons would be a brilliant signing, as he can play centre forward, false 9, 10, right wing, left wing, wing back. Awesome player. Matty C says Simons equals ESR. Will Arteta use him? That's the case question for me. Tom says, I can't help but think we are missing a trick with ESR. He's not too dissimilar to Simons. I feel we will regret letting ESR go if, as expected, we do this summer. And Stephen says there is something about Xavi Simons that makes him look a star to me. I'd take him every day at that price. Interesting comments there. Yeah, and look, I agree with the ESR stuff. And that's what I was talking about with Conor Gallagher as well. But I do think ESR is going to go. And so if he's going to go, then you have to replace him. And so someone like Simons would be a perfect replacement for that. And also with ESR, as much as most of us, we all like him. I wish he played more. I wish Arteta used him more. The fact is he's not using him. And so what is the point in keeping him? If you're not going to use someone who should be a really key player in your squad, who can give you a lot of sort of versatility and can lessen the load on certain players by rotating with them. If you're not going to use that sort of player, then you may as well let him go and bring in someone that you are going to use, because it's just a waste of space in the squad. Otherwise, it just makes zero sense. So as much as I want ESR to stay, I just don't see a way of him staying and being used. So you may as well let him go, get some money in him, and then bring someone in who Arteta is actually going to use, because otherwise, like I said, it's just a waste of time. But thank you very much, everyone, for getting in touch and giving me your thoughts on that. Thank you for watching, for listening. As always, I will be back later on today with Inside Arsenal Extra Time. Remember, though, as I said at the very start of this, if you want to get a question in, you're going to have to do it very, very quickly, pretty much as soon as this episode has been published, because we are recording it in not long at all. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.